So we're going to take a quick look. We don't have a lot of time, but I'd like to take you through the first half almost to 3/4 of Philippians 2. And picking it up in verse 3, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. I mean, this was written 2,000 years ago. Who knew that they were ambitious?
Who knew Paul was writing specifically about millennials?
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying it's a global thing. It was as valid 2,000 years ago as it is now. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. And I think that's something we're going to be faced with in the days to come, because crisis has the ability to bring out the best of you or the worst of you. And it's going to be up to us as believers to show the world that crisis will bring out the best in us. Crisis forces out our faith life into the open, and may that bring out the true God colors in this world. Not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. And I think millennials need to take notes in that concept. Just remembering that the world does not revolve around you. Not yet.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sorry, Shani. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Jesus Christ, who being in the very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. And if you talk about entitlement, we teach our children, you can be anything you want, you can do whatever you want, and then we wonder why they act entitled and want to apply for the position of CEO once they've graduated. It doesn't work like that. We've actually created an environment where they think it's possible. So it goes both ways. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. The humility that comes from serving, not to be here to be served. Shannon, I know that you actually had to journey in terms of serving. It wasn't something that came naturally to you. Added to the fact that you're a millennial and an only child.
Oh, wow. That
for
just
most
came
of your
out.
life.
Yeah. No, it did. Like coming into knowing that God is calling me for full-time ministry, it didn't, immediately I wasn't appointed. Immediately I wasn't, even in my first year of studying, I didn't just become whatever in the church. I had to serve for, I think, about 5-6 years I served. And even after I got my degree, I still served. And then only was I, being faithful in that, was I then able to actually give expression to what God is calling me in a full-time capacity.
And then we get to verse 13 that says, do everything without grumbling and complaining. I won't even go there.
My stomach grumbles, though. That's the only thing that grumbles.
And then it says, God makes us willing and able to do his will. And then in verse 15 it says, so that you may become blameless and pure. And I see a generation who wants to taste everything that the world has to offer, flirting with sin instead of being this blameless and pure generation that God has called the next generation to be. Children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. And I look forward to seeing young people stand out because they are blameless and pure. Children of God in a crooked and warped generation. I think there is nothing as beautiful as a young person who can keep his way pure. And that is only by the grace of God.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the things that these youngsters face is exponentially what I used to face as a young person. So we are praying for you. Believe it. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky. And in this global crisis, will it not be a beautiful thing to see a map, not of a virus infecting one person after the other, but believers shining like stars in the darkness? Wouldn't that be beautiful? And then verse 16 is such a beautiful thing. It says, as you hold firmly to the word of life. And you'll notice different translations translates this differently. As you hold firmly to the word of God, and others say, as you hold out the word of God. And I want to submit that it's both. We cannot shine like stars if we do not hold onto the word of God. But it's not just for us to hold on, like a shipwrecked person holding onto a life jacket, but it's also for us to provide other people with life jackets in their situations, as you hold firmly to the Word of God and onto the Word of God. And then just a couple of scriptures later, Paul speaks to his next generation leader, Timothy, and he says about Timothy, I have no one else like him who will show genuine concern for your welfare, for everyone looks out for their own interests. And we often accuse you of just being in it. What's in it for me? I want to see the benefit, short-term benefit, but not those of Jesus Christ. But we are quick to accuse the next generation of just being there for themselves. But are we truly, across generation and age and gender, can we truly say, I have the interests of Jesus Christ at heart? I look out for the interests of Jesus Christ. And then lastly, Timothy has proved himself because as a son with his father, he has served with me. And I think there's something of sometimes next generation youngsters wait for something to fall into their laps. And I want to challenge you. Shannon did it. She came and sat in my office and said, I want to be part of your life. And she sometimes just travels with me in the car when we go to pick up something or go to the shops to buy bread. But she has placed herself and positioned herself not only in my life, but in other leaders' life to be able to serve as a son.